Turn up the volume nice and loud, cause we are controlling transmission with dance beats and R&B. You're in the mix with Lil Drummer Girl with your host, Dawn Marie.
Hey there, it's Dawn Marie Mutel. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Drummer Girl. Today we have a very special guest, Matt Poynter of the Hip Abduction. Matt is from the Tampa Bay area and is now a successful touring musician with the tropical indie pop group the Hip Abduction. Matt tours an average of 120 days out of the year and has been their recording and touring drummer since 2011. The band has had progressive success with the latest two albums, self-titled and Gold Under the Glow, and continues to acquire new fans from around the globe. I'm here with Matt live today. He's opening for the 3-day Art, Music, and Film Festival at Cultura in downtown St. Petersburg, and he's making time for me to have this interview during his sound check. So, without further ado, here's Matt. So Matt, how old were you the first time you began playing music?
Well, I was 5 years old. I started playing piano. I asked my parents, I was always into music. I actually have this cool video of my dad on Christmas when I was 5 years old. It's the morning time, and he's whispering, and he's talking about how ever since I was old enough to sit up, I've wanted to do music, you know. And I still have that video. It was an old school home tape, but I started playing guitar at 12, and I didn't start drums until I was 15 because it was the loud instruments my parents didn't want me to play. But yeah, my parents have been super supportive. My dad, noticed that I was saving money for it, and he actually matched everything I was saving to buy my first drum set. And poor mom would sit in the other room while I'd practice during the day, and so yeah, drums, 15, music. I'm 5 years old, so.
That's amazing. That it's nice to have a supportive family. Are they musical themselves?
My mom played a little piano. My brother picked up trumpet and bass for a little bit, but they didn't really stick with it. But listening to music, that was always a thing. My parents always had tunes playing, so.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first song you learned how to play?
It was not the whole song, but it was the opening lick to Dance of Eternity by Dream Theater. The cats, boom, boom. Yeah, that was it. And then basically I was a Dream Theater freak. Everything was Dream Theater. Mike Portnoy was my favorite. Yeah, that was the start. So
that's awesome. How many days a week do you practice?
Well, on the road, it's almost non-existent, but hands, I get a lot of practice pad time, but it's mostly just maintenance and chops. And then when I'm home, I'll put in 2 hours a day of pretty consistent practicing. I make it a point to wake up and get the practicing done, I love practicing. It's just very hard to do on the road. So
it's very disciplined of you to do that. Do you teach music at all?
I do, but again, with touring so much, it's been hard to keep my students, really. I have one 10-year-old student. His name's Ian, and he reminds me of me when I was little. I used to take piano lessons, and I had an older teacher who stuck with me the whole time. And I started Ian when he was 7, and he's just been like a little brother, basically. So he's actually going to be involved in my wedding that's in a month. He's my little brother, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, how did you get started with the band?
I auditioned for an ensemble at St. Petersburg College, and the original drummer for the Hip Abduction was the judge for my audition. And after the audition, he asked me to take some lessons with him, and then 2 weeks later, he had me subbing for the band. And then over time, he wanted to start a family and, kind of back out of setting up drums every night and stuff, and he passed the torch, so I'm always grateful for that too. So.
That's amazing. See, you just don't know when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. I'm so excited you're a native of Tampa and St. Pete here. You're my first nationally recognized drummer that I'm interviewing, and I'm so stoked. I really love the band sound. And how did you come up with the sound and really get the influences? What were your influences on it?
So on the road, we tour with less guys. So I actually have a sample pad. It's the Roland SPDSX. And I will use, for certain songs that are percussion heavy, I'll use backing tracks on that. So I'll play to a click, and then they'll fire out to the front of the house. But other than that, I have little tricks around the kit. I have a stack of cymbals. It's 2 broken effects cymbals. I have the HHX Ozone 18-inch cymbal on the bottom. It's broken, and then an 18-inch Zildjian EFX on top that's broken, and then I have a tambourine on top of that.
Oh, wow.
So then it's a very just quick crash, and I pair that with my snare drum to kind of sound like an 808, like electronic snare mix. And other than that, I use the sample pad for like hand claps, the rims of the drums, things like that. So
Nice.
And we have a couple percussionists in the band who play things live as well, djembe, tambourine shakers, all that. So
Very cool.
yeah. So before I joined the band, I was a metalhead, and I played metal drums, rock, all that stuff. And the band had a very world-influenced Paul Simon, Graceland kind of sound, mixed with a reggae like Bob Marley. And that kind of opened the doors to that kind of music for me. And I started listening to more of that. And then the new album, we were actually listening to a lot of 80s synth pop. And we found a way to still take you to that paradise and have the reggae tropical sounds, but keep this synth pop sound. So we kind of merged the two of those together on Gold Under the Glow, which I thought it worked out, So hopefully to develop our own sound.
Absolutely. I was watching some of your videos, and right away I was like, oh, I want to go there. I want to be there. You made me really feel like I was part of that whole ambiance. Was one of those shot in, is that Machu Picchu by any chance?
No, so they were shot in, where were those shot? We had our latest video was shot in Yosemite, out the national park out in California.
Okay.
And Costa Rica, that was it. That was the other shot.
That was my next choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't there for that. Our singer actually took a trip with his friend who happened to be the filmographer, videographer, whatever the word is.
Really well done.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I thought it came out nice.
Your self-titled album was released and shot up to number 2 on the iTunes Reggae Charts and number 5 on the Billboard Reggae Charts in 2013. How did that make you feel?
That was surreal. I remember I just moved into where I live now, and it was the first time moving out on my own. And I was up all night, like, oh man, the album's gonna be released at midnight, and this is the first album I've been on that actually is getting released on all media forms. And we were just a local band. We didn't really tour yet or anything. And I woke up in the morning and I saw all of the social media going on, the buzz about the album, and it just blew my mind. Yeah, it was a crazy feeling. So
that must be a really wild feeling. You play 120 gigs a year. It's such a physical, demanding instrument to play. How do you do it physically?
I think before touring, I was doing a lot of cover gigs in the area, and I was doing probably 270 shows a year with cover gigs, which are 4 hours long. So that was pretty much my conditioning. And other than that, like on the road, we play 90-minute sets now, so it's a lot easier than 4 hours, and we all try to stay physically, active and, hike mountains and run and do pull-ups at rest stops. You just have to keep moving and try to eat healthy, So
Yeah, it must be a little tough when you're on the road to eat healthy.
it is very tough. Whole Foods and Panera Bread, that's what we live off of.
And Chipotle.
Yep. Yeah, actually.
Do you get nervous before you go on stage?
Not anymore. When I first started playing out, I used to shake and hyperventilate. And my first show, I remember I threw up probably 4 times before the show. And we were about the second song in, I felt like I wanted to throw up. I realized I wasn't even breathing. I'm like holding my breath the whole time. So I learned a lot just from those first few years of playing out,
That's a good thing you didn't pass out.
Yeah, I swore I was going to.
Well, have you had any embarrassing moments on stage?
Occasionally I hit myself in the face with a drumstick, but the most embarrassing that I'll talk about was in Denver, Colorado in July this year. I trigger a sample that starts the whole show. It's a voice that kind of sounds like you're in line for a roller coaster or something at an amusement park. It's like, welcome, blah, blah, blah. So I trigger it, and for whatever reason, lack of sleep maybe, I accidentally hit the exit sound off button on my sample pad. And mid-sentence, the whole thing just stops and there's an awkward silence, so I had to start the show in a different way. I had to count the band off and be all awkward, so that's my moment.
I bet you never did that again.
No, never. Yeah. I hit the pad and I'm hands up in the air until it's time.
Okay, Matt, so tell me, are you ready for the 11-stroke roll rapid fire interview?
Let's do it.
All right. What's your favorite drum kit?
Right now I play a Crush Maple drum kit. Crush is made in Tampa, and I just love the kit. It reminds me of a Yamaha, which I was always a fan of. But other than the Crush, I would say Yamaha Recording Customs and Thomas Star Classics are up there for me in favorites. So.
Cool. What about your favorite cymbal?
Pretty much anything Meinl Byzance, but right now it is the Meinl 15-inch dual hats and the Meinl 18-inch dual crash, because they're dirty and bright at the same time, and it's just a sound quality I've never really heard yet until this year.
A dual crash. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's a unlathed, hand-hammered inner circle part, and then the outer rim is lathed with a finish, and so you get the brightness of the finish and then the darkness of the unlathed cymbal, you know.
Sweet. What are your favorite drumsticks to play with?
Right now, I've been using Vic Firth 5.5As, because the more I play, the 5As start to feel like chopsticks to me. And we've been on some bigger stages lately, and I hit a lot harder when I'm in that situation. And I don't mean to, I just do. But the thicker sticks just feel better to me right now. So.
Can you name one of your favorite musicians?
It always comes down to Benny Greb and Vinnie Colaiuta. And then Andy Fizzeldin from Australia. Those three guys are a huge part of my influences in playing. So.
Very cool. And what about one of your favorite albums of all time?
It's Void. The band is called Void, and the album's called Void. It's an Australian fusion band, Andy Fizzeldin on drums, and they were all just young cats, like early 20s, I think, and it's some of the most well-written fusion music and well-produced. It's a great album. It's kind of hip-hop mixed with fusion. It's awesome. So.
That sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your favorite genre of music?
It changes a lot, but usually fusion jazz, because I'm a nerd like that. But lately I've been listening to, I don't know if you call it metal, it's heavy. It's Animals as Leaders. It's Matt Garska on drums. He's 26 or 27 years old. He is the next Vinnie Colaiuta, in my opinion. He's just pushing the boundaries. And he's only 26 or whatever, so
Wow.
I can't even imagine when he's 50 what he's going to sound like. So.
What is your favorite food?
Anything with avocado and bacon. But other than that, ice cream or Reese's peanut butter cups. Those are,
Those are good.
Yeah.
And what would you say is your favorite travel spot?
Europe as a whole is pretty awesome. I can't pinpoint any one area, but other than that, in the States, it's got to be Colorado, because it's just so scenic. You can drive for 2 hours and hit desert. Next thing you know, you're in a forest, and then you're in a city, and then there's snow. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's a beautiful place.
Have you ever gone whitewater rafting?
I have, in North Carolina and Virginia, and yeah, the Whitewater Center. We actually played there this year in North Carolina, and we told him we wanted to be crazy, so the guy made us do a thing called the lazy turtle, and we were spinning around. We fell out and went all down the river. It was great. It was an awesome time. So I suggest that to anybody.
That sounds fun. I went once in Colorado, down the Colorado River. It was beautiful. Scary as hell, but beautiful.
I bet.
What is your favorite activity when you're not working?
I think it's drumming. I don't know. And I don't consider drumming even work, so I don't know. Drumming, I think, and eating food. Those are my two favorites.
Awesome. Are you a spender or a saver?
I spend everything. You can't take it with you, and I always want things. I feel like I need something new all the time, so I'm always buying new drum stuff, and my fiance hates that, but that's the way it goes when you're a musician.
And what would you say is your biggest pet peeve?
People playing while I'm trying to tune my drums. That's a crazy one right there.
I could see that being annoying. Well, I can't wait to hear you guys tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Well, Matt, thank you again.
You're welcome. It's been a good time. Thank you.
Here. How can our listeners stay in touch and follow you?
Well, the band is on Spotify, iTunes. We're on pretty much all the things. Google Play, YouTube. Did I say YouTube yet? Okay. We're on Pandora, all that stuff. So you can find us pretty much anywhere. And then me, as a drummer, I'm pretty much only on YouTube. I need to get better about having more videos, but I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Matt Poynter, Poynter.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I'll be sure to put the links up in the show notes for that so they can stay in touch and reach out. And please stay in touch with me if you have any new releases or if you have any more shows coming in town. I'd love to let the group know out there. for what's happening.
We do have a secret show in March that I cannot announce yet, but I will let you know.
All right, I like to be in the know.
There you go.
Do you have any words of wisdom for future musicians, artists, or entrepreneurs out there?
Well, I know it sounds cliche, but honestly, just don't give up. I mean, this last year for us was the most trying of any time for us because we just really started touring hard. Financially, it was super difficult. There were times when some people did quit the band and others wanted to, but I feel like when you're at that point, that's the point when it's about to break and things will start to work out. And if you really want something, you're going to find out how to make it happen, you know, whether it's financial or, you know, time-consuming activities outside of that. Yeah, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. So just don't give up.
I love that. That's really important because persistence is key.
That's
I
right.
find, you know, you can't give up. And I feel like you say, right there, you know, it's a breaking point, but if you just hold on another day,
right.
like the next day, it's like the rainbow came out,
right.
and the pot of gold is at the end there, and you think, oh my God, I was ready to throw it all away, you know.
Just being nice to people and remembering, trying your hardest to remember their names, and, you know, especially stagehands, like, remember their name and thank them, and, you know, when you go back to that town, they're going to tell their friends how awesome it was, and you know, you're going to have friends there because of that, so that's...
Absolutely, that is very good advice. Knowing what you now know, would you do it again?
Yeah, I mean...
Awesome.
Yeah.
Would you change anything?
Honestly, everything's gone in a weird way. Everything's gone exactly how I always envisioned it, you know? So I feel very lucky and fortunate for that, so...
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Matt, for everything. I know you got to get some dinner before you get up there on stage
It's been
tonight.
a pleasure.
And as I mentioned, I can't wait to see the show. And for you listeners out there, be sure to check my YouTube channel. There will be some footage up there from the show tonight, and that's at Little Drummer Girl with Dawn Marie Mutel. That's LIL Drummer Girl with Dawn Marie Mutel. And please, thank you for listening. And if you like this episode, please share it and subscribe. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and iHeartRadio. And remember, it's never too late to begin to live the life of your dreams and leave a trailblazer behind you. So rock on and rock out, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Namaste.